My name is Charles Lake, and I created the website The War on Parroting in America Waged by the States for several reasons. The first reason being I've been under um, Connecticut's mishandled child support enforcement for over 42 years now, and they are not going away. The fraud and mishandling of the cases are a disgrace. And I'm going to do segments to show you the different segments of how they commit this fraud and how it's so hard to do anything about because they attack mostly people that are disabled or poor who cannot afford a $300 an hour attorney. And so that's what I'm going to do there. And in 2015, my congressman, I live in New York. I've been living in New York since '87. Told me that they had cleared up, that there's a federal investigation. They cleared it all up, and go back and they would treat my case right. Well, I went back to court several times in 2014, 15, and there was only a handful of white people there, which I found it was off, you know. I grew up in a black community, Laurel Garden, Danbury, Connecticut. At the time, it was a 90 family housing project. And my parents moved in there when I was about 3 years old, and I was in the 20s when they moved out. But so I everybody has prejudice, but this just shows how prejudiced the state of Connecticut is. That they go after brown and black people, people that can afford to pay what they want them to pay because they have jobs that have minimum wage. And so there's a problem there. And the fact that they double bill and commit blatant fraud. It's not just a little fraud, it's blatant fraud. And if you had a lawyer back from 2013 to 2018, you could fight this. But I went back. I'm disabled. I've been disabled since 1992, and I went back making just about $700 a month on Social Security disability. And now they're taking 10% of my disability for the child support that I already paid. Yet they won't honor their own paperwork. And I know other people, there's got to be thousands of people in Connecticut and in other states. And I've gotten a hold of my congressman, and it's been like pulling teeth. But I would like to see the Deadbeat Parents Punishment Act and the Child Support Recovery Act amended so it protects the parents as well as the states. I mean, this here gives the states as much power as over the family unit, and it's just destroying families. And it's been really bothering me that I drive around and you see these signs, be a foster parent, be a foster parent. How about letting parents raise their children? I mean, there are some situations where parents need help, or if a parent's in prison, yes, a child has to go in foster care. If it's the only parent, both parents or whatnot. But the way we got it now it gives the states free reign to I mean, they're as bad as the mafia. You get I was told I could have a public defender to help me with my case, and all he was there for was to twist my arm and say, how the hell are you paying this? You're going to pay this, otherwise you ain't leaving. You're going to prison. And we're putting these people in prison for not being able to pay their child support because they're working minuscule jobs. And there's no help. I've gone to the media. They've told me, we don't want to know who owes who what. And I tried to explain to them, it's not about who owes who what. It's about the states committing fraud on parents and taking their children. In my case, the states didn't take my children. The state of Connecticut did not take my children. My first wife ended up in a coma, and I had to work. And my mother said she'd babysit. And after a couple of months of, probably 6 months of her babysitting and getting $100, I was paying her $100 a week. And I would pick my children up at 5:30, 6 o'clock, and bring them back to her 7:30 in the morning. And I was giving her, and back in 1978 is when this happened. $100 a week for your mother to babysit should have been plenty. I also gave them food, everything. But like I said, she lived in the projects. It was a very bad place to live, but I didn't know no different. I mean, I lived there basically all my life since I was 3 years old. So to me, this was, but my mother and I have had problems since I was a child, a very young child. She always told me that I wrecked her life. And I should have known better than let her babysit, but I had no choice. I had to pay the doctor bills. I had to pay the rent. I had to pay insurance for the vehicle. I had to pay and the doctor bills. I mean, my first wife was in a coma for almost 6 months, I believe it was. And then she had hospitalization and everything. And so it for a 23-year-old man, barely a man, to get hit with all this, and then to have my mother run to the state of Connecticut and say I abandoned my kids because she found out that she could make more money at the state for welfare than I was giving her. The state never did an investigation. In '86, they were ordered to do an investigation, a custody study, and I was supposed to be the residential parent, but we're going to get all into that. But people go into prison because they owe child support, especially with all the fraud that the states are committing, is ludicrous. It's just making our taxes rise even higher. So I'm hoping that you'll write your congressman and your senators and see if we can get a federal resolution together to stop them from doing this. The state of Connecticut's been under federal investigation since 1989, and it's still going on. So please, I'm asking for your help, and I'm hoping that this website and the information I give you helps you. And if you live in states other than Connecticut, do your research. And the children, let me just read you one thing. May versus Anderson in 1952. The United States Supreme Court noted that parents' right to companionship, care, custody, and management of his or her children is in interest far more precious than any other property right. Okay, and in the '60s there was a, a a thing about the state of Connecticut. So this has been going on for way too far, and the federal government or the U.S. Attorney's Office should use the RICO statutes to bring this to a halt because this is people cannot afford the $300 an hour attorneys when they're making minimum wage. So I hope this helped you, and I'm going to apologize right now because I'm not a very good narrator, but I'm thinking that the information I'm going to put up will help you, and it will also help me. So I thank you very much for your time. Stay safe. Goodbye.